question I have for you. Listening to you, we realize now that angels, I mentioned, is more than simple individuals working alone. The field of angels and angel investment has become very structured. My first question would be, to what extent are you different from VCs in terms of structure of looking at deals? And how do you distinguish yourself from the VCs, or at least the early stage VCs?
Well, I'll take a crack at that. In terms of looking at us, what differentiates angel groups in Boston, in my opinion, is that we will do the smaller size deals. Most VCs wouldn't touch a deal under $1 million. We do deals under $1 million all day long. Where we're the same is the terms and the valuation that you would see from an angel versus a VC, in my opinion, would differ very little. Are we any faster in closing? I'd like to think we are, but the data says no. It takes 6 months to close a deal with a VC, and maybe it takes 5 to close a deal with the angel, assuming the lawyers get the paperwork done quickly. Otherwise, we look very much like a structured VC organization, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, we sit a little bit earlier stage, and so we'll do things before you would actually consider them deals. We're often taking ideas on a napkin, but though we do also look at a lot of things where the company has an alpha or a beta. So what we're providing is really a lot of coaching and a lot of access to our network and mentorship. So it tends to be for first-time entrepreneurs and for people who are younger in their career who don't necessarily have the network, or people who are shifting industries and don't have the network. And so we look, we have a standard term sheet that every one of our companies signs. It's very little money and much more about that value-added kind of thing around coaching and access to people.
One of the differences that I see relative to early stage ventures is that we spend, I think, more time coaching where we are. We don't have a horizon like 7 years. We're not in the middle of, or 2 years away from a fund, having to raise a new fund. So therefore, that you could go and talk to a venture capital person who basically is, we're cultivating relationships, but that person can't really say yes on that particular day, and you don't always know it unless you ask the right questions. The other thing is that we frankly help cut through the legal morass a little bit. I was part of a deal that recently, just late last year, where I had done the term sheet and we had handled the original, call them absent landlords. Two cousins or something that had invested in a firm, and they had a valuation that was probably 5 to 8 times larger than it should be, and I was brought in to simply manage that, which I did. And then we went to, because of a relationship, the entrepreneur went to one of the Boston law firms. No comment on the Toronto law firms or Montreal law firms here, but one of the Boston law firms, and the shareholder purchase agreement was 76 pages. And that's without the investment rights agreement and other attendant documents. And there were so many defined terms. You needed to have a computer science flow chart to be able to figure out how many ways money was disappearing, And so I generally provide entrepreneurs the first draft, of a share purchase agreement, which comes from prior deals. And it has to be investor friendly, or we'll never get it through. So there's no point of beating the entrepreneur up because, on it.
Question here. How many of you are entrepreneurs? Please raise your hand. Very good showing. And the rest, of course, on the financial side. Well, in VCs, there's really 2 aspects. Is one, how you, the entrepreneurs, see the angels and VCs. And then the question is, how do angels see VCs and how do VCs see angels? So for you, it's seamless. You go usually in your ecosystem to friends, family, and fools, as we said earlier, then to the angels, and then to the VCs. That's usually a traditional path. On the other hand, angels and VCs have had a love-hate relationship. And we spent quite a bit of time in Toronto actually talking about, and Phil was there, and Martin, and a lot of you, several of you were there, and we were talking about how to get the angels and VCs working closer together. And it really, we think we did a lot of headway. There was one mention of, I think Bill mentioned that he fell in love with John Ruffalo from Omers. And we said, well, he said it's probably legal in a couple of states in the United States now.
He professed his love openly.
so that's really what I want to sort of, what comes to my mind is that for the entrepreneurs, it's seamless. For the angels and the VCs, there's a real opportunity to work together, identify the good deals, identify who the right investor is for yourselves. And so there'll be a lot more happening, hopefully, in the future.
I think the big thing for me in terms of seeing what the difference between angels and VCs is that angels can engage right to begin with. And there's so many of our investments that we actually saw maybe the first time and we didn't invest. And an angel helped out and essentially mentored them to an investable state where we invested the second time. And oftentimes in those cases, they were very successful for the entrepreneurs, for the investors, for everybody, which is what I really like to see. And I think that's one thing that you can take advantage of angels. A lot of angels want to get out there and help. And the VCs do too, but you're probably not going to see them at that point in time. You really want to see somebody right at the beginning who can help you move forward and give you suggestions, give you shareholder agreements, give you things like that they already have. They know the flow that will make it easy to go through the next rounds of investments. And I think that's the big advantage of an angel versus a VC. But certainly, a path to VCs later on is certainly a good path for any company. Okay.
Thank you. I guess I heard a few comments about legal documentation here and lawyers. But it leads me to a question about, I'm listening to you, it seems there's a certain standard that's developing in your practice as you're becoming more groups and groups working together. Is there such thing? Are you looking for ways to better standardize how you look at a deal?
Well, let me first address the legal documents. So what we've tried to do is standardize the legal documents, and there are some websites. National Angel Capital Association has a set of standard legal documents that you'd use for any closing, and our documents are very similar to that. So that way, there's a lot less negotiation, and we try to make it work quicker. I just want to go back to the previous question about what's the difference between angels and venture. And within the angel network, there's some discussion of saying we really should differentiate ourselves and we really should figure out how can we make decisions quicker so that we are different from the traditional VC, which takes 6 months to do the deal. I don't have any real tangible answers, but I tell you, many of the angel groups are asking themselves that question and saying, what do we have to do differently to get this process to 30 days? And we'll see. I think we'll see some of the angel groups try to figure that out and cut through a lot of the due diligence and make it go quicker.
Yes, Kerry.
One of the comments I'm going to make in terms of being in an angel group is it's like herding cats. and that's what often takes it a long time, is that angel group versus a fund. When we had a fund, we had the money in the bank. We could write a check. It was simple. It was just you get a yes or no from your partners. When you do it as a group, you actually have to go out to every angel going, are you serious? And then they go away on vacation, and then whatever, you're trying to get them back again, and how much money are they going to put in? It takes a while, and I think that's some of the process that it would be nice to shorten that process, because it's as much the process of the legal and the term sheets as much as herding the cats.
The ACA, which is the American Capital Association, the equivalent to the NACO for Canada, has put out a series of templates as well. And one of them is actually a treaty between angel groups, where they will treat each other harmless of any problem that happens. So this is happening all the time, and it's getting tighter and tighter in terms of working from the same documentation.